Good afternoon, my name is Oliver. I am one of the chefs here at the Penny Brohn, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to do a very healthy, quick and nutritious accompaniment for Christmas Day or the lead up to Christmas. I've got a nice array of ingredients here. It's a very straightforward and simple dish. It can be served with turkey, it can be served as a standalone salad or a standalone vegetable, it can be served with tofu, with white fish. It's very, very simple, quick and tasty to make. So we've got some butternut squash, we've got some chestnuts, we've got some cranberries for a bit of festive cheer, and then we've also got some fantastic radicchio leaf, which you will find in any supermarket. You won't need much of this, it's going to add some wonderful vibrancy to the dish. And then I've got my aromatics. So I have got some fennel seeds, which are a personal favourite of mine, which have been lightly toasted. You can crush them in a pestle and mortar a little bit to release their flavour, but not necessarily. And I've got the wonderful spice, which is sumac, which grows everywhere. Ours comes from Turkey. It's a lovely spice. It's warming. It's not a punchy spice. It's more aromatic. It has a lovely background. It's got some citrusy overtones. And it lends itself very, very well to root vegetables. So, I've got some squash here. Now, when I roasted squash, and we roast our squash here, we leave the skin on for the nutrients. The nutritional content of a root vegetable lives just under the skin. So, if you peel it, that goes. You don't have to, but we leave ours on because we like the nutritional value. Next we've got coriander, lovely herb, we're going to add that at the end. And then we've got chestnuts that are here, and I will show you what to do. So I'll give you a couple of chef tips. I cut my butternut squash here, and I cut it into half, which gives me obviously this, and I've got the seeds here. Now the seeds can be quite annoying to take out. So what to do is get a dessert spoon, and insert it in here, and they should all come out fairly quickly and quite easily. And obviously I've done an awful lot of this down the years, but there we go. Not hugely challenging. And then what I also do as well is you end up with this little bit here, and I just create a little half moon, because that will get burned during the roasting. I have cooked some off in advance because we will be waiting for a very, very, very long time. So what about the vegetables, which is the squash in this case, I have kept the vegetables a similar thickness, that's the key, but I have cut them all into different shapes for the very, very simple reason that it adds a slightly more complex aesthetic to the dish when you put it on the plate. By all means, if you want to cut them all in uniform, please do. Cut them into different shapes, but the key is they have to be the same thickness. Not the same thickness, they're going to roast at different times. And then toss them in olive oil, sumac, and either cumin seeds or fennel seeds, and be as generous or as ungenerous as you want. If you haven't worked with sumac before, it's quite lemony, it's quite citrusy, and it adds a lovely, lovely background depth to your butternut squash. You take a look, olive oil, salt. I don't add pepper, it's a spice, I don't think it needs it. If you want, you can add that. And I would suggest probably for each butternut squash that you are doing, you're probably looking to use a spoon of fennel seeds and the same again of sumac. And really, really allow it to coat the vegetable before you roast it. So I cook my squash in a fan assisted oven or a normal oven at 175 degrees. The reason I cook it at 175 degrees is because it won't dry it out, it won't burn it, and if you do forget about it, 175 degrees is quite forgiving. But in order to cook that, you'll need to go in there after 10-15 minutes and turn it over, otherwise it's just going to cook on the top about 25-30 minutes. You've got to remember the natural sugars that are in the butternut squash as well, so when you take it out, it will carry on cooking as it cools down. So if you touch it and it's all soft and squidgy, you've got to remember you've still got 5-10 minutes of cooling time. It's going to carry on cooking. But you also want it at that temperature because it allows the flavours to seep into your butternut squash. Okay, I will do my herbs first of all. Coriander is a very, very nice herb. So you can use the stalks as well with coriander. If you go to South America, they value the stalks almost over the leaves. So obviously I have done this once or twice. I can even look at you and chop because it's a paradox. You call this the claw, and you hold the knife and you can feel the turn of the knife against your fingers. It's a real paradox because actually when you can't feel the knife, that's when you've got a problem. Now this accompaniment, the best thing about it is you can cook it the day before, you can allow everything to cool, you can chill it, and then you can bring it out and you can serve it at room temperature. Or you can heat it up, cook it on the day, and take it straight to the table. It's very, very forgiving and robust. I love it with a bit of grilled white fish, some tofu, a standalone item, because obviously you've got your chestnuts, so that gives it its protein. If you are a diligent vegan, take out your half dozen chestnuts that you're going to need. Obviously get them cooked. They are faffy to have to cook yourself, and then you're looking to have a nice thin slice of it. They do tend to crumble down, which of course is not a problem. Next, I have our radicchio. The radicchio is a fabulous looking leaf and it adds real vibrancy. It's actually a little goes a long way with this. So I'm going to use, the outer leaves often have a little bit of a green hue to them, but it's a shame because they also have the best patterning. I'm going to select these two. I'm going to trim a small amount of the white off, and this is a very, very mainstream lettuce. You will find this easily enough. Now you can chop it very, very thinly into what they call a chiffonade, which is what I'm doing now, and you can just slice it very finely, or you could even tear it if you like it quite rustically. Here, and I will run you through my finishing methods. So I've got apple cider vinegar. You could use cider vinegar, perhaps a white wine vinegar potentially, but I'd be tempted to use probably an apple cider vinegar, a cider vinegar, or a balsamic vinegar. Olive oil. Use good olive oil. We won't need much for this dish, so it needs to be high quality. Next is my lime zest and my lime juice. So I've got a nice glass bowl for mixing. I've got a little bit of my olive oil in there. A little bit of my vinegar. Now don't forget, I've seasoned everything already. I've got my cranberries, my Christmas cheer. They are very sweet. Don't forget, you won't need a huge amount of them because the butternut squash is sweet. So these are sizzling away. As you can see, they've crumpled, but they've not lost their shape, which is very, very important in my opinion. You do have to have a degree of care about this, because if you just toss it essentially, although it will gain all of the flavour, it will crumple, and you've put so much work into cutting up the squash. Now all of this can be done in advance. So I am essentially coating the vegetables with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of high quality cider or apple vinegar, and it just adds a little bit of acidity and piquancy to cut through all of the richness that comes from the chestnuts and the butternut squash itself. Now if you look at it, it's already beginning to take shape. It looks very, very opulent and vibrant and looks quite festive. I'm using the microplane here. Now you'll notice that I've not used all of it, because you really don't need much. And you're adding this at the end for its freshness. Very, very, just a couple. I reckon that's probably no more than 25, maybe 30 ml. So last but not least, we add our radicchio for vibrancy. And now we will begin our assembly. And you see how just having different shapes of vegetables, it changes the texture. So you've got the long pieces here, so perhaps kids would want that and they could just nibble on it. Perhaps if you've got somebody and they're not hugely open to alternative vegetables, they've got a smaller piece. So it's a little bit of a starting point for them, like an introduction. Now inevitably, the chestnuts and the cranberries are going to fall to the bottom of your mixing bowl. And in a little way, that does the work for you, because they're the last pieces to go on. So you could plate it up in advance of the carving of the turkey and everything and put it on there. It is lovely hot, it's also lovely at room temperature. And then last but not least, a little bit of the high quality olive oil. You'll see the colour on that. And you've got a wonderful vegetable garnish, a vegetable accompaniment that is in the style of how we present our food here at the Penny Brohn. It's healthy, it's nutritional, it's seasonal, and it is a marvellous accompaniment to whitefish, tofu, turkey. You could serve it with a red meat if you were so inclined, or because of the chestnuts being in there, it's a great vegan dish, and it has the products in there to ensure that vegans don't miss out on their protein as well. I wish you a Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoy cooking this dish.